So was the mighty Neo Geo any good for racing games? So, was the mighty Neo Geo any good for racing games? I've been meaning to do some racing game videos for ages, so I finally decided to make a start. And what I thought I would do eventually is go through all the systems I own, talking about my thoughts on the racing games on each system. I've started with the Neo Geo. Not traditionally a system you associate with racing games. You know, you think of the Neo Geo, and I would imagine most people think, oh, they're all fighting games. And yes, there are lots of fighting games, but there's lots of other stuff as well. And if you delve sort of deeper than the fighting games, there's actually some amazing other stuff on the Neo Geo, and it's probably equally as good for other games as it is fighters. Possibly even more so, you might say. But anyway, we're talking about the racing games here. Like I say, not something the Neo Geo is known for, really, I wouldn't think. So this shouldn't be a very long video, because there are only 4, maybe 6 you could term racing games on the Neo Geo, be that AES, CD or arcade. So I'm just going to run through them all. Unfortunately, I don't own any of them physically except one. I have had some in the past. Sadly, they went at some point, and now they are ridiculous money to buy back. Anyway, first up we have is Riding Hero, which is the game I've got on in the background. I've just got this running for ease on my X2 Pro console. I'll put some footage up over instead of looking at me. Also, which was took on the X2 Pro just for ease. I could, you know, if I want to play them myself, I play them on my actual AES with the multicast. But yes, Riding Hero, which is obviously it's a motorbike racing game, and it really it wants to be hang on, but unfortunately for me, it doesn't cut the mustard, and for me it's the worst racer on the Neo Geo. It looks quite nice. It's got a lovely big sort of sprite, motorbike and rider, much like Hang On, which it was what it was imitating. But unfortunately, it's very sluggish to play. The control response is quite bad, and the track is exceedingly small compared to the size of the bike, so it makes progress and getting past other racers quite difficult, especially when that's combined with the clunky controls, because the rider doesn't return upright automatically. You have to move the rider left and right to to determine his angle. He doesn't naturally fall to being straight up, which combines to add to the frustration in the fact it's quite slow to respond, and feels you need quicker responding controls to be able to negotiate the course and the other riders within the time limit. So it's certainly not rubbish. It's definitely worth a play, but compared with Hang On and Super Hang On, it's a pale imitation, unfortunately. But it's an interesting curiosity, and I did once have I may have had it twice. I've had the AES cart of that, but it went with previous AES collections, and unfortunately I've never been able to buy it back since, because like all AES games, they're too expensive. Hopefully, if they start releasing more AES Plus titles in addition to the ones they've announced, I'm hoping they might release all the racers onto the AES Plus. So far they've only announced Overtop, which we'll come on to now. Overtop is an isometric car racing game, and it is coming out on the AES Plus in November. I've never had the physical of that. It's exceedingly expensive on CD, but it's a pretty decent game, I think, Overtop. It plays quite well. It looks quite nice. Like I say, it's isometric, as you'll see from the footage. Kind of a race, a rally hybrid type game. Different courses, jumps. You've obviously got to get. There's quite a large course with various stages within it, and it's quite a challenge to get to the end within the time limit. But it is really quite a good game. As of yet, I haven't ordered the AES Plus version because it's on my multicard. But like I've said, it'd be nice to have all these Neo Geo arcade races. So I can see myself caving and ordering Overtop. Why has that gone off? But it's a good game. That then brings us on. That then brings us on to kind of the semi sort of sequel, I would say, to Overtop, which is Neo Driftout. Because it's kind of an evolution of Overtop, really. The graphics are quite a bit nicer, but it's more sort of full-on rally game, where there's a lot of drifting, obviously, included in the title. But this is really rather a nice game to look at, and it does play well. But where in Overtop you have like a course overview of upcoming corners, on Driftout you don't have that. So it's much more a game of memory and knowing where the courses are going to turn left and right and so on, because it gets very difficult very quickly. But if you can persevere and learn the courses, it makes the game a lot more playable. I'm not sure where I stand between Driftout and Overtop. Driftout looks a lot nicer, but personally I prefer Overtop to play. I think just having that course overview in the box at the top corner on Overtop really helps that game for me, where the difficulty on Driftout, well, I think Driftout's the better game, but I think Overtop is more easy to play, if you get my drift. It's more amenable than Driftout is. Driftout's tough from the offset, but both very good games. And again, I've never owned Driftout because that's always been crazy expensive. Thankfully it's on my multicard. That then brings us on to two which are debatable whether they're races, and that they are Stakes Winner 1 and 2. You could term these sports games, I would say. They're kind of sports / races, I would say. If you're not aware, Stakes Winner is a horse racing game. I'm kind of on the fence. They are races, but at the same time they do feel like a sports game. But I felt I needed to include them here. Again, I haven't got them physical. I did have the one on the Saturn ages and ages ago and sold it for some reason. I can't remember why. But as you'll see from the footage, there's not really that much to pick between the two graphically. I think Stakes Winner 2 is probably slightly nicer, and it's got a larger course overview, and I think it plays a bit faster, Stakes Winner 2, sorry. And there's also sort of part way through Stakes Winner 2 you'll play sort of bonus games where you can improve the characteristics of your horse to try and help you win like later races. I really like both of these games. I think they're fantastic games. I can imagine they'd work well in multiplayer as well. I've never played them like that. but they're very simple to play. You only control the horse left and right, and you've got like a speed up button, and you've got a whip button, but you've got to balance speeding up with stamina to finish the race. So it's kind of a nice balance, a bit like the 1500 metres was on Daley Thompson's decathlon. But that looks so nice. I just love the cartoon characterisations of the jockeys on the horse, and I think it's a fantastic game stakes winner. Really top draw. Either one, they're both great. If you was only going to buy one or play one, I'd probably play the second one, but they're both equally as good as each other, I think, really. There's not much to pick between them at all. That then brings me on to the last racer on the Neo Geo, which is Rally Chase, or as I know it, really Thrash Rally, which is the AES cartridge name for it, which is what I had back in the day. Again, unfortunately, the cart is too dear to buy now, and I'm really hoping they release this on the AES Plus. I have got the CD version, obviously. Now, for me, this is the best racer on the Neo Geo. I absolutely love it. Had this back in the day on my AES when I had one new, whenever it was in the early 90s. Thrash Rally was one of the first games I bought for it. I think I had a couple of others first, and then I got Thrash Rally, and loved it ever since. Now this is it's an earlier game than Drift Out and Overtop, but I personally like it better. Now this is purely overhead, there's no isometric viewpoint to this at all, and it's an overhead again race stroke rally game, where you can do like a sort of a world tour mode where you do each individual rally separately, and you can do like a Paris-Dakar style rally where it's all one split into stages. Choice of cars as you've got on all the others, Drift Out and Overtop, each with different characteristics. No overview map on this one, but it just plays a little bit slower and gives you a bit more of a chance, and for me it's the better for it. The graphics aren't quite as nice, obviously being just overhead, but everything else is top draw for me, and I still think it looks really nice even now, even though it's quite an old game. It's got some lovely scaling effects, zooming in and out. Got some nice jumps on each course. A fantastic game, and definitely my favourite racer on the Neo Geo. So there we go, short and sweet races on the Neo Geo. Have you played any? Do you like them? Do you agree with my ranking of them? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, hope you're well, and see you shortly.